What is up, guys, and welcome to my second episode of the My Team journey for the F1 22 game. Make sure you check out the previous episode if you haven't seen it already, where we created our own team. We went through all the admin of getting started in Formula 1. We chose our teammate, we chose an engine supplier, and we did our first race, as you saw in the background. It was a pretty tasty Grand Prix to kick us off with. So thank you guys for tuning in again for episode number 2. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. We are quickly approaching 700,000 subscribers, and I'm so grateful at the response I've got so far off of these videos. It's been pretty crazy. So much so that we got to number 2 overall on trending for the first episode. I don't know how that was a thing, but you guys continue to break landmarks for me, and I'm eternally grateful. Anyway, we are putting some extra practice in before we actually get to the weekend. I just wanted to get a baseline of this game, this track specifically, because I don't know Jeddah that well. We only really raced on it on F1 2021, and the My Team car is a bit garbage to drive, so I wanted to get a bit of a baseline to see what the car should feel like, and what kind of, Hollywood numbers we're expecting for pole position, etc. So this hot lap that you're seeing right here is my best lap that I did in about 10 minutes practice, or less, maybe. This is lap 4. We're 1.3 seconds up on our previous best time, which is a 1 minute 31.5. You can see a lot of hesitation there with the throttle. Very easy to get done for track limits, because it's very fast sweeping, high change of direction kind of corners. It's very easy to get caught out with those track limits. So, I have a lot to learn. I feel like this lap was pretty good, but I could still definitely go a little bit faster with a bit more confidence and, I suppose, track knowledge. So, I feel like at the end of this weekend, we'll be a lot better off, having just known the circuit a little bit better. But we're getting into the Grand Prix weekend itself now. We have the choice of boosting Oscar Piastri's pace or his awareness. He could really do with a pace boost. So let's hope that can boost him into Q2.
Thanks for dealing with that. The department appreciates it.
Or perhaps even better. We'll have to wait and see. The gap between us and the midfield runners, the guys who are fighting for points, that gap isn't really that far away. So I feel like with a teammate that's on form, with some upgrades, with a good setup, and maybe a bit of luck, then points are definitely possible in these races. In the early stages of this career mode, anything is possible. I wouldn't rule anything out at this stage. But upgrade-wise, what are we going to do? Unfortunately, with the early phase of career mode, you can't do much in terms of upgrades, because usually you can only get one upgrade in per department, because the department maxes out. We need to be spec 1 to do more than one upgrade per department. So we're going to do engine power. That's the engine side is something that we are not currently tied up with. So that's what we're going to do. We do have spec 1 on the aero side, so we can do a second aero upgrade while the other one is still in the works. And that's all we can do. Well, 1, because we're out of points, but also even if we had the points to do more stuff, then we actually wouldn't have been able to do it, because all of our departments are at maximum capacity. So these things that you have to think about at the start of a career mode. You have to be quite tactical with what you do target and what you buy first with your facilities. But anyway, enough of that chat. We're getting into the weekend itself, just about. This is one of the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenges. We jump in a McLaren 720S, and we basically have to go around a couple of corners and keep up the minimum average speed to get a medal. And when you win a medal, it gives you cash, but also driver acclaim, which are both very important and very relevant at the start of the career mode, where the acclaim is low and cash is low. So being a new game, I want to do these things anyway, but it's very important to do it at this stage. I think once we get more money, and once I've done these like many times, I don't imagine I'll be doing this beyond Season 2. Or maybe after Season 1, I don't know. But these are essentially little game modes, which are a nice little distraction from F1 every so often. It is really cool to jump in some really awesome road cars every so often. Let me know what you guys think about the supercars. I've already made my opinion known about these. It is a bit left of field, but I wish they included these in online as well, just to make it a lot more fun for all of us to enjoy. But hey, it's a start, and who knows, maybe in future F1 games it'll be even better. But yeah, we managed to pass that. You get 3 attempts to beat the target. You can restart, of course, and get another 3 attempts. But we got it on our 3rd attempt. We got the gold, so we get $100,000 for the team, and we also get maybe 1,000 acclaim for our driver. So that all helps and makes progression slightly easier at this stage of the career mode. Let's get into the actual Saudi Arabian Grand Prix weekend. Are we going to bring any upgrades into this race? There was a short turnaround between the first round and this one. I think it might have even been a week, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to get any upgrades on. We're going to check that screen in a second. We are still the 4th worst car. We have been caught by McLaren, so they're pretty much on us in terms of performance. But yeah, no real gains for us, unfortunately, heading into this race. We'll see more sizable gains as we head into the next Grand Prix after this one, so look forward to that. But here we are for Friday practice, and already a mistake in the Marduk Motorsport car. We were pretty fast in the Ferrari, but now that we're jumping in our car, which definitely has its faults, the mistakes are coming to the fore. A bit of oversteer and touched the wall, lost my front wing. We lost a few minutes in the session, but we got back out there to complete the race practice program, which gave us good relevant data for tyre wear, fuel burn, etc. And that'll form our race strategy for the Grand Prix itself. Oscar Piastri doing pretty well, and looking like he's doing a different program to us, doing quali runs. Ended up in P8, whereas we're down in P19. So, overall, I felt a little bit more comfortable. I felt like the pace was actually not too bad despite the mistake. But in Q2, or FP2, we'll push.
Alright, get ready to jump out if you get too hot in there. There's a problem with the cooling system and it's going to take us a few minutes to correct it.
Lovely stuff. So, not the ideal way to start practice 2, but you'd rather have all these niggly issues happen in practice rather than the race. You don't want things to be going wrong in quali or the race, so I guess I'll take it now. What were we doing there? That was a quali run. We're pushing for a 2nd lap, and again we lose a front wing and nearly get clattered by the Ferrari, so that was a close one, but we'll bring it back to the pit lane. This is me pushing on a used set of softs. The tyres really don't last long in this game. Really only 1 or 2 laps maximum is what you can get out of these tyres. But yeah, this car is a bit unstable. It likes to punish you for overdriving, and sometimes it's unpredictable when you're going to lose the back end sometimes. And yeah, it's definitely caught me out on the odd occasion. But here we go again for another run. I think this is our qualifying run up to the line. We actually are going to pass the program this time, and it shoots us up to 2nd overall in this practice session. So we got a green target objective complete. It wasn't purple. I think we still had to find another half a second or something to get purple. So basically I had to top out FP2 to get a perfect target for qualifying, which is P17 on the grid. Looks like I was one of the only few doing a qualifying run in that session, because that is a very highly elevated target for us to achieve. In my opinion, I think the targets that are set in Friday practice programs are just too high. Hopefully the balance changes, but we were still able to pass, and we move on to qualifying. So all is well. Few mistakes are possible, but let's hope those are behind us now as we head into the crucial sessions of the weekend. Alright, here we are for qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Like I said, I feel like I've got a little bit more confidence here than what I did in Bahrain. For some reason, we were just losing a lot of time on the straights, and I couldn't really explain it. Well, there's a lot of areas that are lacking in this car, but we were just lacking in a straight line, even to our teammate, which was a bit of a strange one. But, you know, this is still a power track, but there's a lot more high-speed corners, and I feel like there's a lot more a driver can do to dig themselves out of trouble if they're lacking a little bit of pace. So opening account in the books, P6. Of course, not everyone completing their laps yet, pushing on again. This this is a problem. This is becoming a big problem. I need to stop pushing on second laps because it just goes wrong every single time. This time, caught out by the curb, so didn't take the right line in, had too much lateral load on the car as I went over it and destabilized the car. These are ground effect cars, and when that downforce, when that balance is disturbed, then all kinds of crazy things can go wrong. Oscar Piastri's first lap in the books, and he goes P19. 2.6 seconds off the pace. But crucially, he's lost all of his time in Sector 1. He's like a second and a half slower than me in Sector 1, so that's clearly not a good lap and a bit glitched. And I'd say the same too with Lando and George Russell. Basically, everyone in that kind of realm, including Nicholas Latifi, didn't get the greatest Sector 1 in there, so maybe there was a local yellow we didn't see, but they definitely need to go again to secure their place into Q2. Can we do that? We're currently in the safe zone at this stage with 10 seconds left to go in the session. We're up by nearly half a second, so we're going to improve and we might see ourselves into the next session. We do! For the first time in our career mode, we have put our car into Q2 with what is like the third or fourth worst car on the grid. Yes, it's close in the midfield, but we put in an absolutely stonking lap to see ourselves through to the next session. Oscar Piastri, unfortunately, didn't improve on his first time, so there was pace in the car, and my teammate was unfortunately not able to make the most of the good package we had this weekend. P13 for us, and we can potentially get even more in Q2 if we can back up our speed that we showed in Q1. So, being a back marker, we basically used a lot of our tyres in that first qualifying session. I did save one set of tyres for Q2 here, and so I'm only doing one run. This is a top 10 shootout, one-shot qualifying style qualifying lap here for me, and we're basically going to lay everything on the table here to see if we can get very close again to the top 10 in this next session. Very close to the wall on the right-hand side, but it opens up the final part of that SS section. You can tell the tempo is just increased a lot more. I've gained so much confidence from that first qualifying session, and now I'm feeling so much more optimistic about this race weekend. We might even be able to get points this weekend if this kind of form keeps up. Again, another good lap on the end of this session. We're looking pretty good. No major mistakes, and no mistakes at all on this lap, to be specific. A little bit tentative out of the last corner. I didn't want to throw it away. Very easy to lose the back end out of that last corner. Just ask Max Verstappen. But up to the line, it is again a 1 minute 29.8, and we're into Q3. We are in qualifying 3 in a Marduk Motorsport car. We have beaten both the McLarens, a Ferrari, AlphaTauri, Alpines, Aston Martins, you name it. We are in the mix. In this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, some people on medium compound tyres. I can't believe Carlos Sainz didn't get a proper lap in there. But his loss is our benefit. And Q3, we basically did the exact same time, exact same lap as what we did in Q2, but just with a more rubber-in circuit. We went 1/10 faster in Q3 and got ourselves P9 on the grid, ahead of Lando Norris, ahead of both the McLarens, and right behind Lewis Hamilton to start this race. That is absolutely mental. The AI, or I don't know, I feel like I'm just faster at this track than what I was at Bahrain, and we've got a real chance of getting points tomorrow. The excitement levels, they're off the scale.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race. Well done.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Bottas, Kevin Magnussen and Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Hamilton, Benjamin and Lando Norris. Ricciardo, Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda and Fernando Alonso, Joe, Vettel, Esteban Ocon and Alex Albon, Stroll, Latifi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thanks, Mark. He's a lot more, well, less savage this weekend. So clearly the tactics have worked. And we're starting very near the front for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, only our second race, and we've made Q3. That's unbelievable turn of form. Bit of it's me, but I think, a good bit of it is probably the car just suiting this track a lot more. We did go for, a bit of chassis upgrade, some downforce, and, well, maybe it's more of a downforce circuit than what I anticipated. But either way, I am not complaining for the start of this race. We are going to start on mediums. Was very much considering starting on hards, but, we're towards the fronts. We're going to need all the pace we can to stay with these guys. Slipstream and DRS is going to be absolutely crucial. So, staying with those faster guys around us will hopefully keep us away from, those absolute vultures just outside the top 10 who we do not want to be dealing with in this race. So, yeah, keeping up good straight line speed. I mean, we're running medium kind of levels of downforce. I did go from the increased top speed setup that I ran in Bahrain, and this one I'm running the balanced setup, so more downforce, and I feel like that's definitely, well, clearly it's made an effect. So downforce, at least in this era of Formula One car, very important, at least in the early stages. I'm going to be testing setups very much. I couldn't find a word there. I'm lost for words. How this weekend is going, but it means nothing if we can't convert into points today. So let's hope we can do just that.
Okay, good parking there, mate. Now we need to make sure we get a great launch as the race starts. Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights. Okay,
here we go. Second race of the season. We are angled towards some of our rivals to see if we can jump Hamilton into turn one. 5 red lights, and we are underway. That aggressive positioning of the car was very optimistic, thinking I could get Hamilton as we head into turn one. Oh, bit of contact with Hamilton, actually. Norris gets up the inside. We're going to go around the outside of both him and Hamilton if we can. Hamilton pinched on the inside and got a bit of wheel spin, so we take his position. It's 1 step forward, 1 step back for us. Norris with a good start as we see a yellow flag for someone behind us. Oh, I think it's Daniel Ricciardo. He might be out of the Grand Prix, and he is.
Some information on Ricciardo. Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring. Right, the virtual safety car.
Wow, okay, so safety car has been deployed. It started off as a VSC, but it is actually a full-on safety car. And this is why. Daniel Ricciardo caught out a little bit by Hamilton being conservative on the first lap. And, well, it happens very easily with simulation damage. And, well, it's a bit of a pile-up for those guys back there. Hopefully my teammate got through. And safety car is deployed. Are we going to make a pit stop in the early stage of this race? Probably not. We are going to take this opportunity to save fuel. We've been more aggressive with the fuel load this race, under fueling, and well, the gamble has paid off because we've got a lighter car, and now we're going to be able to recoup that fuel and keep that for the rest of the Grand Prix. So in effect, we should be lighter than most people around us. So that's at least something that'll be on our side for the rest of this race. Anyway, Carlos Sainz is in. He didn't have a good start. Maybe got caught up in that accident with Ricciardo and Hamilton. And he's now right at the back in that Ferrari. Surprised he didn't go to hards. Hards would have been a good call there to run long and basically overcut everyone. But there we go. Max Verstappen leads the way. Charles Leclerc in P2. And I think Valtteri Bottas is in third in an Alfa Romeo. That is absolutely bonkers to see him that far up the grid. If he can get a podium, wow, what a result that would be. But I believe the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. Engine is getting on a bit, mid-20s for most components. Gearbox is a bit concerning. We're going to have to do a durability upgrade there at some point. But now the safety car is coming in. And a good restart here is going to be crucial. Hopefully we've warmed up the tyres to good effect. Cold tyres are not fun on F122. Well, they are fun. The dynamic of warming up the tyres and the whole pit stop phase is very different this year. But you don't want to be on the wrong side of cold tyres. Anyway, heading into turn 1. Can we get Lewis Hamilton? No, I was thinking Lando Norris, not Lewis Hamilton. Norris is potentially the next Lewis Hamilton. I guess only time will tell as we get both of those guys on the exit of turn 2. And we're now up in a P7. Thank you very much. As we have to defend on the inside with Schumacher there, having a little look. But thankfully, no damage done there. We did lose a lot of time, and that was a clumsy little apex there from me. We're losing a lot of touch to Gasly and Magnussen in the other halves. So let's hope we've got the pace to catch back up to those guys. Schumacher looking pretty quick in a straight line in that Ferrari power unit. Doesn't go for the dive, thankfully enough. We already went half side by side before, and that cost us quite a bit of time. We need to be working together here, guys, to catch up to the next group of cars. But we're looking good for points so far. A bit of a nudge with the wall there on the left-hand side, but I think we're just about okay. Schumacher is in the barrier. He is out to the Grand Prix. I think he lost the tyre and might have claimed one of the McLaren drivers with him. That's Lando Norris tucked in the gearbox. Had a correction mid-corner, and Jeddah, there's no room to correct. There is no margin for error on these modern street circuits, and that little slide has put Mick Schumacher out of the Grand Prix, and Lando was just too close to react. There was nothing, absolutely nothing he could have done. Oh, my teammates! Oscar Piastri is out again, and here's the replay for him. Did he have any time to react? Hamilton going quite slow, but Oscar should have been a bit more aware than that. Maybe I should have prioritized his awareness instead of his pace. Pace means nothing if you can't finish your Grand Prix. So that's 2 DNFs for our rookie teammates. Not ideal. We're going to have to fly the flag for Marduk Motorsport for the rest of this race. And if we can get points, then that'll make it all the more sweeter to at least put our team in a good position constructors-wise the early part of this season. But we are actually going to box. This is the second safety car in only a few laps now. And with so many people, so many contenders having front wing damage or being out potentially this race, I'm going to take this opportunity to put on a set of hard compound tyres and potentially go to the end here on these tyres. Either way, we're going to have flexibility later on. We may still need to make a stop later, but we can put the mediums or the soft on to get to the ends and give us much better pace. And also, we can warm up these dreaded hard compound tyres under safety car and not have to deal with that. So that is a genuine tactic, I feel, because you can lose seconds with cold tyres, cold hards, as you come out of the pit lane. And now, potentially, we won't need to deal with that as we go back to green flag running. So I feel like this is the best call, the best strategy for us. We're not going to have pace, at least for a while, compared to everyone else on mediums. But, you know, we're gaining a pit stop here. And this is potentially going to give us even more points. Maybe even a shot at a top 5 if we're really lucky. But I feel like this strategy, as long as we can hold on to it, not crash, not DNF or anything, this gives us the best chance of actually getting points. So I feel like with this strategy, we are going to get it if everything goes together. But here we go, ready for green flag running. The cold tyres are a bit of a factor as we get underway for this restart. We are going to lose a little bit of margin to those ahead. I'm just trying to warm up the tyres to make sure they are A-OK as we head into turn 1. Guan Yu Zhou looking up the inside into turn 1. We turn defense into attack somehow with Latifi caught napping a little bit there and up into P11. So lovely little move there. Puts us one spot away from the points runners. I think someone's got damage up there. It might be Lewis Hamilton. He's going a little bit slowly and holding up this little train of cars. So if he has got damage, that's one less person we have to, I guess, contend with for points. And that would be a big scalp with, you know, the Mercedes being a very, very quick car. So we'll have to wait and see. We are holding ground at this stage. As long as we can stay within 1 second for the next lap or so and get DRS, then we should be okay to pretty much be piggybacked along in this battle. So that's what I'm hoping for, as Guan Yu Zhou is looking very threatening in that Alfa Romeo. It's very quick in a straight line. I mean, his teammate's on the podium right now, so it's no wonder that he's going to be a massive threat to us over the course of the next few laps. So,
Okay, there's been an incident on track.
oh,
resulting in
incident,
reduced
potentially.
debris.
Someone's nicked a wall, as Mark was alluding to just there. But it might be beneficial for us to let Guan Yu Zhou go here and just follow him through. The last thing I want to do is battle for a position. That doesn't really matter as we give him a big squeeze right up against the wall there. That was a little too close for comfort, but he gets through without any damage and without us actually losing any time. So that's the ideal result. Russell is next behind us, and well, he'll be overtaking us in very quick succession, I imagine, as the DRS is now enabled, and this will be the moment where we can start to attack, or, well, massive moment. Absolutely massive moment. George Russell is going to get us because we lost all the momentum out of that very fast left-hander. Not only one loss of the back end, I tried to correct and nearly oversteered back onto the outside part of the track. But look at this. We were half a second ahead of George Russell, and halfway down the straight, he's overtaking us. So we lost so much momentum with that little slide. Of course, he had DRS, but yeah, that's not ideal. We don't want to be losing the back end of these cars because it can go haywire very quickly, as we saw with Schumacher, as we get our first warning for track limits, trying to stay with these guys. It looks like Stroll is a little bit slow on this lap. Maybe his tyres are going off, or potentially he's got damage himself as he goes side by side with Guan Yu Zhou. And Guan Yu goes up the inside. I can't make a stick though. They're still side by side. It's holding up Russell, and it's bringing me back into the fight. It's side by side as we head down this straight. It's a 2x2 formation.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Yeah, the issue is we're getting held up by traffic, and we put that traffic behind us. George Russell has been displaced in this race. What's the issue? I'm not too sure. I guess we'll find out in a second. Hopefully it's nothing too drastic, but temps look okay apart from the engine. That is a little bit warm. 131 degrees, so we could probably do with getting a bit of clear air into the radiator and getting the optimal horsepower out of this thing. DRS down this straight.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits.
No!
Again, find somewhere safe to stop. We need you to retire.
You're joking! An engine failure in our second race with fairly new components. George Russell's got damage. Nice AI driving there. I was trying to get out of the way of everyone, but the AI took control. But that is heartbreaking. This was a race where we were almost guaranteed points. We were one of the only few people to have made a pit stop on the hard compound tyres in such a good position in a backmarker car. Opportunities like this do not come around very often, and we are out of the Grand Prix before it even really began.
And here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Ferme after a fantastic race. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
Unlike us, we do not know what we are doing out there. That is, well, 3 DNFs for the team in what was 4 chances to finish in 2 races. So, not ideal. Not ideal at all. Of course, Piastri getting his DNF is reliability failure in the first race, and then it's us affected today. Piastri caught up in a crash. No points, no finishes for Marduk Motorsport. That's going to be pretty diabolical for the acclaim, for the team, for both drivers. But yeah, that's also a component gone for us in the allocation for the power unit mix. So not ideal. We end up in P15. Like, that was such a missed opportunity. So many people were already out of the Grand Prix before that point. Some big names as well. So almost certainty for us to get points there. We were ahead of, or we were in the mix with George Russell and Zhou Guan Yu. So points were definitely on the cards there. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe that. Now I'm starting to kick myself a little bit for choosing Red Bull, saving about 300 or 400k for the sake of reliability. Well, reliability has already reared its ugly head. P14 in the drivers and P10 in the constructors. Williams overtaking us with 0 points. But, yeah, what can I say? I gave it my all, guys. The pace was really good. At least we can say that. The pace was very strong in what is only our second race in this season of career mode. Demoted down to level 2 acclaim for both the driver and the team. So we're going backwards in this race. That's certainly cost us so much as well. So not ideal. Let me know what you thought of this down in the comments. We wanted player faults to be in the game. It keeps you on your toes and it makes you actually invest in the durability of your car, which is certainly a major consideration for us now going forward with this career mode. But we got a message from Ben. It says, sorry about the retirement. We've received the following reward from Codemasters. Very generous, Codemasters. Thank you so much. That's going to go a long way to improving the durability of this car. So thank you very much. But there we go, guys. That has been this second episode of my team. A brutal ending to what was such a promising start to the weekend. But hey, these horrible weekends just make the good weekends feel that much sweeter once it does go your way. So we'll bounce back. Australian Grand Prix next. It's my home race, it's the team's home race, and it's Oscar's home race. So every reason for us to bounce back strongly there and absolutely smash it in the next Grand Prix. And hopefully, you know, we've got some similar corners. A lot of high-speed corners there in Australia, much like in Saudi Arabia. So I'm hoping that we're going to be just as competitive at that next race and maybe get some redemption for us here today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 22 content. Follow me on Twitch. I'll be doing some streams as well, racing with you guys. But, damn. We'll be back in the next Grand Prix. Just you wait.